What is up, everybody? Welcome on into the Alarm Fantasy Football here on Friday, the Friday show where I bring on, let's be real, my friends. That's what this show is. Dude. The rest of the week, waivers, start sits, all that. That's work. And then Friday we get to hang out. Today I'm bringing on my boy Justin Boone. We ran this last year. We're running it back, and I gotta tell you, bro, there's some pressure on you, man. There's some pressure on
Just a
you.
little?
There's a little pressure. People know you superstar ranker over at Yahoo. And last week, Colby Conway and I, well, we finished in the money, brother. We finished
Nice.
third. So I mean, it's third or better, dude. Otherwise, I'm just saying, maybe you're back next year, maybe you're not. I don't know. just, just messing
Man,
with
it's funny you say that because, like, obviously I had a lot of success in the Fantasy Pros Accuracy Contest for years, and I took 5 years away from that contest. And this year I went back into it, and I felt like you're saying, like, I felt a little bit of pressure going back in, being
you.
like, man, like, am I still gonna be able to do it? I'm gonna have to knock some rust off. I'm happy to report that I'm right back in the top 5. Still got it, so it's going very well. So hopefully, I know we had some
Let's
success
go.
last time we did this. Hopefully, we can match that, and hopefully, we can match what you guys did last week.
I heard, dude. I heard the whispers when you came back, dude. Tyler Oginski. I talked to her, but they were like, "He's back. Boone's back."
I won't say who said it to me, but when we were in Canton in the summer, someone was like, "Is it true you're going to be in the contest this year?" And I said, "Yeah." And they were like, "Well, I guess I'll finish one spot lower," which I thought was very nice, which
That's
made me
very
laugh.
nice
And
things,
at
man.
the time, I wasn't that confident about it. I wasn't so sure that I was going to be right back up to the top. But fortunately, it's going well. It's like riding a bike, right? Just getting back into the same old processes with all that stuff. And yeah,
Love
things are
it.
going fantastic. Things are great this season. Loving it. Can't wait to talk to you about all the games in week 10 here. We were
Yeah.
chatting a bit before the show. I think you know this by now. We got to see each other in Canton. One of my favorite people to talk to in the industry. Never miss a chance for us to jump on a show together. Now it's me coming on yours. Obviously, in the past, I used to have you on my old show all the time. But yeah, any chance
Yeah.
that we get to sit
We,
down and talk some ball here is always a good one.
we got to meet in Canton and honor that. Here's the name of our team this week: Patronacy.
Inside jokes, they're fun for everyone.
Team Patronacy this week. Let's go, dude. Pour them up. And just so you folks know, I actually haven't done this in the past. What we're doing this week, for those new to the show, welcome on in. We're doing an FFPC lineup. And in that, you can put anyone in the lineup that you want with one rule. You cannot pick two players from the same team. There's no salaries, there's no draft. And you can pick anybody you want, but you can't put in both Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs. You can't stack your quarterback with your wide receiver. I kind of like it better that way, just so you don't get crushed by some crazy outlier game. But that's how it works. And this is how close it ends up getting. So our team last week, Hap Brees Halloween, was on the left, and their team is on the right. And we had Allen, McCaffrey, Taylor, Jamar Chase, Rashi Rice versus Puka Nacua. Here's the difference maker. We lost by 20 points, and Brock Bowers in tight end premium outscored Trey McBride by big time
Had to
points.
have them.
If we just had Brock in there instead of Trey McBride, we win. We had a better kicker, better defense. We were more plugged in. Colby was on top of it. That was a difference maker, man. So this game really is about starting the super chalk. And if you can have a ringer in there that other people don't have that finishes top 5, then that really is what does it. And basically what this one is $35, 30 teams. The winner gets 500, second place 200, third and fourth you get to pick either a best ball free $125 best ball entry that you can do over the summer, or just cash out 100, and then fifth place gets the money back. So we can figure out what we do when we finish better than third, which we will do, because those, you got to show up Colby Conway, man.
No
Uh,
doubt.
and if people want to get in on that, you can go over to my FFPC, use promo code alarm. They'll give you 35 when you deposit 25 or more. So let's pull up the sheet. This is what we work off here. And let's make it right here. Let's get rid of that. So for folks that might not recognize everything on the screen here, the over-under is the total points being scored that's projected to be scored in the game by Vegas. The spread is obviously the expected difference, which the implied point totals are based on that. That's what Vegas kind of is suggesting we're looking at here. The Sunday morning international game is not on the slate. So we start with the Bills and Dolphins. Before we get to that, I did have a couple questions in the chat here, if you don't mind, using
Of
your
course.
your top 5 superpowers of ranking. Dilly of the month, Auden or Loveland in PPR this week?
I'm going Loveland. Like, I think the breakout game from him last week. I mean, we're not going to get that kind of performance. We're not going to get 6 catches, 118 yards, and 2 touchdowns every week from him,
Yeah.
obviously. But even if Cole Kmet is back, I just don't think you can put this Loveland thing back in the box. Like, this guy needs to be a playmaker in the offense. There's a reason that they took him in the first round. And Otton's not a bad play with all the injuries to the Bucs receivers. Like, you could play him as a decent streamer, but I just think the ceiling for Loveland is so much higher. I have him ranked as a top 12 fantasy tight end the rest of the season, not just for this week. So I think we're only going to see his role grow and him become a bigger part of this offense. So I'm super excited. Every team where I have him, I was going out of my way to get him off the waiver wire the last couple of weeks here, going into that easy matchup last week. And then obviously, I mean, middle of the pack kind of matchup with the Giants this week, but
Yeah.
I think he is going to be a really good fantasy tight end the rest of the way.
Yeah, really, because this is why you got to take these shots on these type of guys, even if there's target competition, because we know what Cade Otton is at this point, right? He's kind of a middle of the pack, inline tight end. When guys are hurt, he does well, which gives him a good floor this week. Patriots aren't that great of a tight end matchup; they're actually pretty bad. But some of these guys are just special. They're different. Darren Waller, Rondé Gadsden, Colston Loveland. There's a reason this guy was picked as high as he was. So he definitely the upside play there. Yeah, Loveland, and definitely for us this season as well. He's another one we had here. Aaron Jones with a little bit of an AC joint or Devin Singletary. I mean, it's got to be Jones, right?
It's got to be Jones. We'll keep an eye on the practice participation today and whether he's 100% going into this game if we get any updates on that. But yeah, overall, you got to go with Jones. I'm not buying. A lot of people are worried about like the Tracy Singletary split. I'm not buying that it's
No.
Singletary as the lead back, even though he got more work last week. Like we saw that duo last season. We saw Tracy take over along the way. So I think there's still a very good shot that Tracy is going to be the lead back, is going to get the most work most weeks. But yeah, we're definitely going Jones, who like looked fantastic. Like I'll take the L on that one because I thought that Jordan Mason, I thought initially, like even when they were playing together before the Jones injury, it seemed like Jordan Mason was kind of distancing himself a little bit then. And I assumed when Jones came back, it would still be Mason's backfield with Jones in the complementary role. Boy, was I wrong. Like when Jones is healthy, he is still the guy in that backfield. And I don't know if Mason's breaking down a little bit as the season's gone along, but yeah, not excited about him anymore at all, but Jones definitely has some value.
Yeah, I mean Jones has always been good. He just the reason that the Packers moved on from him is he can't stay healthy, But I mean, like
And
last
the
year,
age and yeah,
he led the team in yards from scrimmage last year, more
I
yards
know.
from scrimmage than Justin Jefferson. So yeah, get him back in there. And Singletary, Tyrone Tracy got a little nicked up towards the end of that game, and I think they might have held him out a little precautionary there, with Singletary getting more snaps at the end. So I'm definitely with that on the Tracy wagon. Slayton, Otten, or Kincaid in a PPR flex?
Can't say that I feel great about like the upside of any of these guys, to be honest, but I'll go with Dalton Kincaid, not just the Bills fan in me, but Dalton Kincaid, for some reason, even though he's not playing the amount of snaps that we want, he's not necessarily running the amount of routes that we would love. And yet he just keeps producing. He keeps finding the end zone. Matchup with Miami is not scary at all here. Slayton is like that boomer bust. If he hits on a long play, then he could come through for you. But do you really want to bet on that? I would much rather bet on Kincaid, who has produced more often than not this season, even though I keep wondering when the bottom's going to fall out because of that playing time issue. It really hasn't. And then Otten, like you said before, he's had 40 plus yards in like 4 straight games, but no touchdowns. He's just not like that exciting of a play. He's more like the streamer kind of type you throw in there if you can't find anyone else.
They use Kincaid the way I use like special weapons in video games, right? Like
It's kind of, yeah.
I'm trying to save this ammo, but then when the going gets rough, I'm like, okay, let's pull out the shotgun here with Kincaid. It's like when he's on the field, he gets the ball every time, but the snap share is like 60%. I mean, the route participation last week still, I think it was like 54%. It's very odd, but he's putting up the numbers. You got to go with him.
Well, I talked before the season too about how when he was healthy, if you looked at his healthy games, he was a top 12 fantasy tight end going back to the rookie season last year. Like in his healthy games, he could produce.
Mhm.
And yet last season, it was like the weirdest because there were so many opportunities. And this I do say as a Bills fan, where it seemed like him and Josh Allen just couldn't connect. It would be like Kincaid open running down the sidelines and Josh Allen would miss him, which seems so strange because I didn't see Josh Allen missing other receivers to that extent. And yet this year, they're connecting on those, and we're seeing him come through. So hopefully that continues. And I say that as a fantasy manager and a Bills fan on that one. But yeah, I'm going with Kincaid out of those three.
Right. The spreadsheets, like you look at the yards per route run for Kincaid, and you're begging for more snaps for the guy, right? Because it's like it's through the roof. Last one here, and then we'll jump back in later, guys. We got to get to these games here. So Tez or Parker. We've heard Jacoby Myers is going to start on the outside, learn that first, and then probably take over both the slot and the outside. And then Tez here getting another look with Chris Godwin likely out again. So where you go on that?
If we're talking just for this week, I'm going to go with Parker Washington. I do think he's got a shot to produce. I mean, Jacoby Myers is learning this offense on the fly. Everybody there is injured. It looks like I think Tim Patrick is going to be back. Maybe he'll factor in, but there's so many injuries in that receiving core. And like I said, like the Liam Cohen aspect of it all, where he said that Parker Washington is going to be used out of the slot primarily. That's the money spot. We want to see him in that role. So yeah, I think he's got it this week. Long term though, I'd probably go with Tez because I don't know when we're getting Chris Godwin back, and I don't know what version of Chris Godwin we're going to get. Mike Evans, I mean, who knows when he's coming back? So long-term Tez this week, Parker.
Yep. The latest on Godwin that we're hearing, again, it's not directly from the team, but sources around them say late November, early December. And I mean, once
Just
I
a
hear that
lost
in fantasy
season.
football, yeah, because now you're just going to trust the guy first week of playoffs. I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, let's jump in here. We'll definitely jump back in, guys, in the chat. But we got to get to some of these games to get this lineup going. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull all the top names, put them in this sheet. You don't have to. I'm not sure if you remember from last year, but Rich Rebar started this thing where we basically, even if we're not going to use certain guys, we'll put them in the sheet out of respect to ward off evil spirits. So if there's a name that scares you, whether you're using them or not, let's put them in there just to be safe. So first game here, 49.5 point over under. Bills, Dolphins. Bills, obviously big 10-point favorites here. Let's just start on the Dolphin side. Is there anyone we consider in something like this where we want like the best of the best of the best, sir?
Probably not get involved in that offense. I mean, Devon Achane would be the guy that you could look at. He's been kind of matchup proof. He's getting a ton of work in the receiving game. But do you really want to be involved with the Dolphins offense in something like this where it just feels like at any moment we're going to have a week where everything goes south and it all goes off the rails and Tua gets pulled? And I don't want to be involved in anything like that. So, no, I mean, if you want to put Achane in there out of respect, I'm fine with it.
We have
But
to.
yeah, I just don't want to. I don't want to play anybody on that Dolphins side, and unless the matchup is just absolutely a cupcake spot, and they look like they got a chance to stay in the game or potentially win it. Where I don't think that's the case against the Bills. I think they're going to get throttled, and yeah, Achane will probably get his in the receiving game, but no, don't want to play him. Don't know that the ceiling's there.
Yeah, there's too many games here with the high point totals to be going with the Dolphin here. So
Yeah.
on the Bills side, though, multiple options. Who do you want to put on the sheet? Just for folks out there, on FFPC, it is full PPR. It's also tight end premium. So tight ends get 1.5 points per reception. Don't get any bonuses on the yards, don't get any bonuses on the touchdowns, but on the receptions you do. That's why Brock Bowers put up 49 points last week in this format. So a little extra juice on the tight ends.
So I don't think we're going to use him, but after everything I said about Kincaid, I think we could at least consider Kincaid in this spot. Um, James Cook's an interesting one this week because I know he's healthy after getting some rest early in the week, and people were very concerned. And I'll admit, I went out and picked up Ray Davis to throw him on a bunch of benches just in case. You always have to do that. You never know who's going to turn into the next Rico Dowdle. But still, like in a game against the Dolphins where Cook needed that rest early in the week, where he did get a little banged up, if they're up big, I think they're going to get the backups involved a little more in this game. I don't think they're going to need James Cook to go out there and put up 25 touches or more. So I wonder whether the ceiling for him is going to be there, unless, of course, he could come up with a couple touchdowns and get there that way. But I'm willing to put him in the dock, but I don't think we need to start him here. Josh Allen, on the other hand, I think we might have to go with Josh Allen. As much as I think there's some really good options at quarterback this week, it's hard to get away from Josh Allen. And I mean, I saw what happened last week, right? He was your quarterback, had a huge game, came through there. And this is a spot where it seems like the Bills are going to put up a lot of points. And whenever that happens, Josh Allen's normally always a good play.
Exactly. And we're going to run into situations where we have to decide, do we we have a really strong play we want to use or the quarterback. In this case, I feel like using Josh Allen maybe solves a lot of our problems there. So yeah. I like that as well. And yet last year they did use some teams like the Eagles. I know Saquon Barkley was going for a record, but the Eagles, the Ravens, they used their starting running back when they were up big in the fourth Bills last year did go to Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, those guys. So, with Cook nicked up, I don't know why they wouldn't do that again. Next one here, 48-point over under, Patriots, Buccaneers. Buccaneers favored here, but both teams gonna have options we might use. What side do you want to start on?
Let's start with the Bucks because really, I think there's only one guy. I think it's Emeka Egbuka is the only one that we're to consider, and he was a guy that was a little banged up too, right? Was kind of playing through some injuries,
Mhm.
managed not to miss any time there, stayed out there, but even he, like, I mean, he's a solid play this week, so we'll see kind of how it shakes out with the other games. He's in consideration, but I don't necessarily know that I want to trust him in the spot against the Patriots defense. Let's face it, they're pretty good. This Patriots team is awesome. True playoff contenders now, really going toe to toe with the Bills in the AFC East, which I hate to see. But Emeka Egbuka is somebody that is a top 10 receiver in my rankings, and yet I don't know that I feel that good about using him in a contest like this. But we'll see as we go through here. On the Patriots side, man, like other than Drake May, and we're probably going with Josh Allen. Other than Drake May, you playing
Mm,
anybody? Like,
nope.
I don't know that you're going to play anybody again in this kind of format. In regular leagues, Trayvon Henderson could be a low end RB2 for you. Like, there's some of the receivers like Stephon Diggs that you could use. Even in deep leagues, I mean, in one deep dynasty league, I'm going with Demario Douglas this week because Keishon Mooney looks like he's going to be out. So we're going to see some other guys get involved. And last week, that was Douglas who actually stepped up, not playing a ton of snaps,
Like
but
10.
getting a lot
Yeah.
of opportunity when Keishon
Crazy.
Boutte wasn't out there. So he's kind of hit and miss, but he's hit a couple times in the last month. So I'm willing to go with him. Again, this is also a dynasty league where you're starting like 5 receivers, so you got to go fairly deep with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I'm in the
Um,
international dynasty league with you trying to piece together that team that I inherited, and, I know the pain of just starting anyone with a pulse in leagues like that, dude, so
Ian Hartitz messaged me the other day and said every time that he goes to pick someone up off the waiver wire who he thinks like might be available in that league because there's nothing on the waiver wire, that normally I have them before him. And the guy that he mentioned, the reason I bring it up, Amir Abdullah, like that's how bad
right.
it is on the waiver wire in
Dude,
that
I
league.
swear I just did that this week with somebody that was on your team as well. I'm trying to remember who it was, but I was like, "Why does he even have this guy?"
There is
I might have
nothing
to
on the
pull it
waiver
up
wire.
because it was making me chuckle. I was like, "Of course Boone has that, dude."
Well, and then
Um,
that's why like somebody comes available and it's just like max budget bid because like if you find anyone on the waiver wire that could get in your starting lineup, like you might as well just spend it all to get them.
yeah.
But I love those leagues, man. I love going up against the other analysts, and I love trying to dig really deep and find those like diamonds in the rough. Which there's not many diamonds that we find on the waiver wire in that league. It normally comes through the draft, but still, it's really fun.
Yeah, it was, dude, I think it was George Halani, and I'm like, "Why do you have him?" Like, what are you even doing? Because the trade deadline's coming around, and I'm like, "Okay, what if they do actually trade one of these guys?" And it's just like, "Okay, well, what he already
Well,
has him, I guess." So, like, cool.
and for the record, for everyone out there, it's a 12-team dynasty league. I think it's like 34-man rosters or something like that. Like it's so
It's
deep.
a ton.
So yeah,
I picked up
you're getting the
Bryson
sicko levels
Tremaine.
on that.
I was happy to have him. Like, it's a scrappy league. So yeah, and the thing with the Patriots and the Bills is they really spread the ball around, which makes it tough. I mean, the quarterbacks are playing well, and that's what good quarterbacks do. I'll tell you, as a Patriots fan, there was a window there where I was like, I hope the Bills win the Super Bowl. Just because your fans are all really cool. We kind of needed a reason to hate you guys again. But, that window's over. It's closed, man. You had your chance to have me on the Bills side. Now I gotta root against you again now the Patriots are so back. So,
It's fun. It's good.
it's more fun that
I
way.
as easy as it made it the last couple of years for the Bills, it's fun having another team in the division that's a true contender. And I know some people are like, "Man, the Patriots were good for so many years, and I hate to see them good again." No, it's awesome. It's way better
Better.
for the league if we have the Patriots good and we got somebody to root against. Because yeah, in my NFL fandom, I've never rooted for the Patriots. I tell people like fantasy wise, back in the Brady days, that was the only team where I just banned myself from taking Brady or Gronk. Or never had those guys in my fantasy teams. Just wouldn't do it. Couldn't root for them. But when they got to the Bucks, I went and got them on a bunch of teams. It was great,
Yeah,
and
that
they
was
were still
nice, yeah.
fantastic and helped me win some titles. So it
It
was fun having them. It was probably stupid of me to never draft them, but that's the way it is.
Brady was much more fun for fantasy on the Bucks. I will
Yeah.
say he had like that. Well, obviously the one year where he had 50 touchdowns, but like he really let it fly on the Bucks, dude. He was like they're doing whatever he wanted, which was great. Real quick, just a couple questions in the chat. We're not gonna be able to do all the questions in the chat today, guys. We do the whole show yesterday, Thursday. We do the show Thursday night. We also have a full show Sunday, 11 to noon on YouTube. Besides the Sirius XM show, 10 to 11, and in the Discord. I was in there for the last hour, and I'll be back in there after this answering some more questions for you guys. So, but just a couple real quick ones that came in. Pittman, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Marks Vidal, one wide receiver, one RB, one flex. Pittman's got a tough matchup, but he's been pretty good. What do you think?
Pittman does have a tough matchup, so it seems like AJ Brown is healthy. He's practicing full last I saw, so I would go with him first. Garrett Wilson, we're going to have to watch. I don't know. Do you have a feel on that for whether he's going to play this week? I saw he was limited in the early practices in the week.
I
I
think
don't
he
know if they're
will.
going to push him back out
I'm-
there already.
I think he's gonna. I think he's
You do
gonna
think he's
play.
going to play?
Yeah, just based on the comments, the way he's talking, very, very positive. I mean, he's had a full paragraph of nice things to say about Adonai Mitchell, but I do think he's going
Man,
to go, man. But I don't know if I would trust him first week back over Pittman, who's been so good. I know the
I know
matchup.
it does make it tough, but it isn't like I feel like the ceiling for Wilson is higher. I mean, the
Oh, it is
way
for
to
sure.
go against the Browns is to throw, right? They're not going to be able to run on them.
Mhm.
I
And
also just wonder though with that Jets team, like, are they just so demoralized? Like guys that wanted to get traded didn't get traded, and they lose two of their best players at the deadline. And I wonder what the mentality of that team is going to be going into that game against a tough Browns defense. So maybe you're right. Maybe we sit him and you go with Pittman, and then between the running backs, I'm going back to Kamani Vidal. Like I think he still
Mhm.
has the ceiling. Woody Marks is a really, really risky play. Somebody you can get in there as a flex, but I know Vidal had a down week. But if we just look at his performances so far, it's like good week, bad week, good week, bad week. So I think we're due for a good week, right? If we were going by that pattern, then he's going to have a great game. He's going to have 100 yards from scrimmage this week.
I mean, that pattern worked for like 10 straight years for Matt Ryan. Good year,
There
bad
you
year,
go.
good year, bad year, right? So sometimes you got to go that way. Plus, Nick Chubb returned to practice yesterday, so it doesn't make Mark's not as interesting.
Yeah.
One more real quick. Parker Washington, Shakir, Odunze, Jacoby Myers. So there is a difference between Jacoby Myers and Rashid Shaheed this week. Even though both were traded, Rashid Shaheed knows the whole playbook. He played for Clint
Yes.
Kubiak last year. Jacoby Myers, they already said he's learning the outside role first. So not necessarily. I think I would rank Parker Washington ahead of Jacoby this week, at least of that group, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think Jacoby Myers has to be pretty far down the rankings this week. More like a wide receiver for flex. You probably need a touchdown for him to come through for you in fantasy. Shakir, like the ceiling for him just isn't great. Like he's kind of like 40, 50 yards and maybe you get a touchdown. So he's not somebody that I normally am that excited to put in my lineup. I'm going to go with the Doomsday, but I want to pay attention to this injury and I'm hoping we get some more information on it because he's been banged up and you wonder if that at least is accounting for some of these down games that he's had. Is it because he's not 100% out there? I think that's a possibility. But if we're talking about who's got the highest ceiling, it's got to be Roma Dunze, right? Roma Dunze could put up wide receiver one numbers when he hits. He's done it this year many times. So
Right.
I would be going with him unless we hear something about his health that's really concerning.
Yeah, he's got to be a Dunze for me too. He's the only guy that's not a part-time guy of that crew, to be honest. So I'm going there with you. I mean, it is so funny how the first few games of the season shape our mentality. Like Dunze was so good
So
early.
good.
And he just, we had him ranked so high. Last year, it was DeAndre Swift was so bad for the first few games. It's hard to reconcile that he did have a good season. They just, in
Yeah.
my mind, it was
Yeah.
so bad, so terrible for the first few games that it was so hard for me to rank him high. But looking back, he was good. And now he's good again this year. So, all right, we got to rapid fire through some of these just to make sure we get everything here. And I don't think it'll be very difficult with this team. Browns, Jets. I mean, David Njoku, would we use either of the tight ends in something like this? And there's multiple flexes, but I mean, there's a lot of tight end options out
In something like this, no, I don't think we're going to
there.
look at those guys at all. If Njoku was out, then maybe you'd consider Harold Phantom, but no, I don't think we need to. I really only think there's one guy in this game that I would go for, and it would be Quinshon Judkins as a
Judkins.
possibility because he's been really good, man. And I think because he's on the Browns, people don't talk about him enough. But before he got hurt in week 8, through the first 7 weeks, I know he didn't play in week 1, but he was a top 12 fantasy running back on a per game basis. He got hurt. Then he has the bye. You worry, okay, coming out of bye, is he going to be practicing? He's practicing in full. He's going to play in this game. And now he gets to go up against the Jets defense that was already a top 10 matchup before they lost those guys at the trade deadline. Now, like I said earlier, are they going to be demoralized? Are they willing to put up the same kind of fight? So I think he's somebody that we could certainly consider maybe as like a different play here. I'm not going to lock him in just yet, but he
No.
would be the only one in this game that I would actually consider throwing in the lineup.
Fully agree. And the Browns are tough to run on for sure. I mean, some guys when you get outside out of the tackle box, we've seen Gibbs and Trayvon Henderson do okay, but like I really don't want to bet on that with Brees Hall, especially because they use Isaiah Davis on pass downs. It's like he's not even getting the full workload. Next one
One.
here.
Okay, go ahead. I was going to just say that on the fantasy forecast, the Yahoo fantasy forecast yesterday, Matt Harmon brought up the fact that, are we going to see a Brees Hall where like he wanted to get traded, he didn't get traded, and then he gets some bumps and bruises and starts to question whether he wants to be out there? And that's always a possibility down the stretch, right? That if he's unhappy there and he's looking to next year, do we see him come out of some games? Do we see him miss some time? So that's just something that I'll throw out there as well.
There's nothing better than having your team look at you as like a fourth round comp pick. That's like what they believe you are. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
we gotta collect your, it's the receipt for you. It's just, I mean, gotta be brutal hanging out in there. You're like, dude, Woody Johnson, man, clown.
Bad
I will
organization.
say it, dude, clown. It's just not a good organization. What are you gonna do? And that has nothing to do with me being a Pats fan and you being a Bills fan. All week long, Howard Bender, who is a Jets fan, says the same thing. So next one here, we'll have players in this one. Ravens, Vikings, 49 over under. Ravens are favored. Let's start on the Ravens side. Names to go on the sheet.
Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and even Zay Flowers. I think
Yep.
now that Jackson's back, like Zay Flowers is in the mix here. And Minnesota, like on paper, doesn't look like that great of a matchup, but they've actually been hit up recently by some receivers. So I think he's in consideration. I don't want to say that he's a player that's like due for a touchdown because we know that he's somebody that has struggled to score a ton of touchdowns in his career, but hasn't scored a touchdown since week one. I think this is a spot where we could see him find the end zone potentially. And I'm kind of interested, like on the Vikings side, I think with McCarthy out there, this offense can put up some points on a Ravens defense that's a little bit better and a little bit healthier now. But overall, I still am somebody that believes that JJ McCarthy is going to get better as he goes. I have a ton of faith in Kevin O'Connell as a play caller and a coach. So I think we could see some potential shootout action in this game, which would help both sides. So yeah, Jackson, Flowers, Henry, I think those are all great picks and potential considerations here.
Yeah, I think I have Flowers ranked just on the edge of wide receiver one at 12 this week. And
Same.
JJ McCarthy really is the last great stash, I think, in single QB leagues because it's, there's not a lot of hope out there. You're not stashing Shadur Sanders, you're not stashing, like Tyler Shuck.
Yeah.
Everybody picked up Dart and Darnold and all those guys. Like, I think he's the last guy where you can paint a picture of like, hey, what if this guy figures it out? I mean, with the weapons like that, you just got to put it in their hands. You know what I mean? That's really, you can have 250 yards passing just by connecting on a couple slants with guys like this, So Jefferson in the conversation potentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly.
And I think that's it though from the Vikings, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. It's going to be Otten over Musgrave. Musgrave is a guy we want on our bench just to see what he does here. It could be a split between him and John Fitzpatrick, but Otten is just safer for me. Like would you go Musgrave over Otten right now?
I would go with Otten. I
Yeah.
think, like, especially if we're talking about this week, Musgrave's got a tough matchup going against the Eagles defense. They're the third toughest
One of the
matchup
worst.
for
Yeah.
fantasy tight ends. So I've been telling people you can go pick him up because I think he could have a good run out the rest of the year. But you pick him up as a stash this week. Let's see what he does in that tough matchup. Let's see how they use him and then
Yeah.
go from there. So if you need to start this week, you're going with Otten.
Exactly. We're stashing him when we're looking for deployment. And Otten's the opposite, where we know they're probably going to get at least one of those wide receivers back at some point. Jalen McMillan apparently has a broken neck, so I don't know about him, but like somebody's going to come back and play for that team at some point. So Otten is an expiring asset, but a better start this week. Deathwish, what up, brother? Coop and Justin, PPR. Who do I pick up as well? RB2, Monangai, Kenneth Walker, Marks. Man, Kenneth Walker's been killing me, bro.
I know. And yet, like, I think I'm going to say Kenneth Walker
Me
here.
too.
It's really close between him and Monangai, and it's going to come down. I hope we get some quotes from the coaches about how these guys are going to get used because I think they're going to go back to Swift being the lead and Monangai being the second guy. But even in that scenario, prior to Swift getting hurt, we saw Monangai putting up pretty good stats. Like he's kind of like a David Montgomery Jr., right, in this
Right.
offense in the Ben Johnson system. And I don't think necessarily that Monangai is going to take over this backfield. I know some people are hoping that that happens. I think it's going to continue to be a committee, but it's going to be a lot closer in my mind to maybe 50-50 or 55-45, with Swift taking the slight lead there. And yet Kenneth Walker, like last week, the usage was pretty good. I know the results haven't been there. I don't know.
Rashid
It's a real
Shaheed's gonna
coin flip
unlock
between those
everything.
two.
That's I am in chat. I'm incapable of being unbiased on Kenneth Walker questions. It's now illegal for you to ask me those moving forward because the answer is just gonna be him. Dude, like in every stat, Ian Hartitz put out his new stat he calls cool shit, which
Yep.
is literally just you saw it, right? It's just
Yeah.
touchdowns plus explosive runs plus broken tackles divided by touches. And the top guys in that stat are legit. What was it? Jonathan Taylor, Bijan, and Kent Walker. It's like, come
Yeah.
on, dude.
And no surprises. Like,
No
yeah.
surprises, man. And then the offensive line has continuity for once. Rick Dennison and John Benton did an incredible job. Gray Zabel is awesome. Their first round pick, the guard they picked, pulling all over the place. The tight ends are blocked. AJ Bonner is mauling
Yeah.
people. Like, just give him the ball. I don't care if he runs sideways every once in a while. Give him the damn ball. Next one here, Giants, Bears. 46.5 point over under. Bears favored by 4.5. Anything on the Giants side at all?
Out of respect, I'm going to say Jackson Dart. And
There's
one
no
of my
way.
bold predictions this week is that I think there's a shot that Jackson Dart could finish as the QB1 overall. He hasn't done it yet. He's had a couple QB3 finishes. But this week, I think it sets up really nice. The Bears are giving up the sixth most fantasy points to quarterbacks. They've really been hit hard too by rushing quarterbacks. We've seen guys like Tyler Huntley and Jaden Daniels put up over 50 yards on them on the ground. We know Dart just continues to do that. It's like 55 rushing yards and or a touchdown in every single game he started. So I think there's a chance here that we see him have a really big performance. And just, I want to give him respect because, man, he keeps getting it done. Doesn't matter who gets hurt. Doesn't matter who's on the other side of the field. Every time he's had a tough matchup, we look at it and go, okay, don't play him this week. And he still comes through, right? So I think in a spot, which I believe is the easiest matchup he's had so far, I think we're going
Easily.
to see him put up a pretty good total. So we'll give him
Yeah.
some respect and we'll put him in here, even though we're probably not going to use him.
He has surprised me, man. I don't know why I had this like mentality that he was like a punk, but he really is he's not. Like when I see him in the interviews and stuff, they coached him up well. He knows how to behave himself and he's definitely got some swag. There's no question about it, but like I've been pleasantly surprised by Jackson. I'm on Team Dart now. I was rooting for him. I had him in some dynasty leagues, but I wasn't like fully sold. I'm in. So I don't know when
He
it when
looks like a bad guy from an old movie or something. I
that's
think that's why he has like that kind of look to him.
he
But yeah,
literally is like he's like that dude that's like, "Let's race to the bottom of the ski slope for the girl," right? And
exactly.
he's a skier and like, you know what I mean? And his dad owns the mountain, right?
Yeah,
That is Jackson Dart. But hey, you know what, dude? He seems he's a cool guy, dude. Now he's more like the Letterman jacket guy that sticks up for the nerds. That's what it is now to me. So
agreed.
shout out to agreed. Shout out to Jackie Dart. On the Bears side, with this 25.5 point implied point total, feels like there's got to be something here for us, right?
I mean, I would put Odunze in the conversation though, because the injury stuff. I don't know that we'll use him. I would put Loveland in the conversation. Like we saw what kind of ceiling that he has. So like it's not impossible that he could have another really big day. Don't think I'm going to touch the running backs, even though I wouldn't be surprised at all if either of them go off in this game. But because of the likely split that I think's coming, I think that might cap a potential like huge ceiling that you would need for a competition like this. So,
Yeah,
and I mean, Caleb, we're not
we're
even
gonna need
in
a
good
defensive
matchups.
kicker.
Even in good matchups, I'm not going with Caleb.
Yeah, we're gonna put Cairo Santos on the radar. He's their kicker, right?
He's the kicker, yeah. We searched him
I'm
for a
trying to
little
figure
bit,
out
but
how we utilize this team. We're gonna have to have a kicker and defense at some point, but it's typically been an afterthought. Last week though, Colby Conway, a Texans fan, the first player we put in our lineup was Kyrie Fairbairn. And dude, it was the play of the week. I mean, if he missed a 51 yarder to start the game, but then went 5 of 6, right? It's like sometimes you get that feeling. I don't know if you have a kicker like that this week. We'll see. Next game here, Texans, Jaguars. I mean, look at this mess. 37 point over under, only 1 point spread, so implied point totals are bad. Anybody you like, either side. Nico? I mean, it's Davis Mills.
No, yeah, not with Davis Mills, right? Like we've seen
Yeah,
him have bad games with
so bad.
Davis Mills out there. So no, I think this game is just entirely a pass. There's too many moving pieces. There's too many injuries. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody worth hitting in that one.
Good. Full pass on it means we can hit a couple quick questions. 5-4 playing top 3 teams have Hampton Bucky don't know what to do. Should I trade Hampton for Wandale and Aaron Jones? Should I try for ETN? At 5-4, are you selling on guys like that?
Hampton probably. If you could get Etienne for Hampton, I would probably do that. Just because we don't know when he's coming back, and like the quotes from the team have not really been like confidence inspiring, right? Like Harbaugh's like, yeah, we're not even gonna potentially activate the 21-day window until after the Week 12 bye.
Yeah.
Fantasy wise, that doesn't even mean he's coming back Week 13. That could mean that he doesn't come back until Week 15 or something, right? So yeah, I'm very worried that we're not going to get a ton of value out of Hampton, or that he's going to come back like right in the fantasy playoffs, and then you got to make that decision. Do you throw him back out there and hope that he gets volume in his first game back, that sort of thing? So if you could get Travis Etienne and be able to get a guy that's potential top 20 back, I would probably do that. I like that better than Wandale and Aaron Jones.
Right. And I mean, dude, how much better is Hampton? Like hypothetically in our minds, awesome. But how much better is he than an ETN necessarily?
Yeah, no,
ETN touched the
great
football
point.
27 times last week, right?
Well, and you got to factor in the injuries to the offensive line, right? Like it
Yeah.
isn't just one now; it's so many that are mounting, and that's going to change the way this offense produces and the efficiency and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, a lot of concerns on Hampton now.
You don't even know how well Trevor Penning's gonna stick with that
Oh
line,
God,
you know?
what
I
a
mean, it's
what a
just
sad desperation move that was.
crazy. Best RB handcuff stash for playoffs: Tootin, Corum, Davis, Emmanuel Wilson.
I will stay on the Jaguars thing, and I'll say Tootin. It's been Tootin the whole time. It's going to take an injury, but it's going to take an injury for any of those guys, I think,
Right.
to get out there in a starting role. And Tootin has shown, like in limited usage, he could find the end zone. He can make some big plays. I really want to see him get his shot. It's unfortunate that it would require an ETN injury for that to happen, but
Mm.
it's Tootin and Corum definitely, and I'm going to give Tootin the edge.
Right, and in Dynasty especially, like, I'm at the stage, Boone, where, like, if a player gets selected like, if I'm combing through the guys that are picked, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round pick, if
Yeah.
they get picked by Les Snead, if they get picked by Brad Holmes, if they get picked by James Gladstone, I'm actually putting some credence to that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
The guys that
real
you consider like sharp, right? Like we feel like
sharp.
those guys are sharp. I totally agree with you.
Right?
Totally
Because
agree.
for years, it's like we sat here and said, "Oh, okay, if Belichick drafts a wide receiver, they're dead to us." Like, why don't we do that on the other side? Why don't we sit back and say, "Hey, these guys are pulling rabbits out of hats with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Kyron Williams and Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and all these guys in the late rounds." And James Gladstone is literally from that tree, and he likes Bayshell Tootin. Like, we should probably like Bayshell too. So,
And
just
as a prospect, he was just exciting in his
awesome.
own right. Like he didn't even need that to kind of put him over the top. It's funny because I would say Corum to me is a little bit the opposite, where I really didn't like Corum as a prospect. I think he's gotten much better. I think he's looked really good in his
Mhm.
opportunities this year. And the fact that he's in that McVay system where if Kyron goes down, they tend to normally want to use one guy. Doesn't seem like they trust Jarquez Hunter at all. He was somebody I was excited about before the season, still a dynasty stash, but yeah, if Kyron Williams gets hurt, Blake Corum a potential league winner too. So I don't want to like gloss over him, but I'm still giving Tootin the slight edge in that question.
Yeah, and I like Wilson too, honestly. The thing about Wilson and Ray Davis, though, is I don't necessarily see a world where they're just given the full keys to the car.
Yes.
Whereas I could see the other guys getting that. I'm not worried about LaQuinn Allen and his couple pass snaps and Corum. We already know Kyron Williams gets crazy snaps. So yeah, that's how we look at those guys. Next one here, Saints Panthers. Panthers big favorites against Tyler Shuck and the gang. Sellers at the deadline traded away Trevor Penning, traded away Rashid Shaheed. Anything on the Saints? I mean, Juwan Johnson, really good matchup, and he's been all right. But like again, can't really rank a guy top 5 when his quarterback's Tyler Shuck. And we
Yeah,
need
it's just
we're
too
pretty
far down.
we're
It's too
starting
far down the list, I think, to consider him too far down the projections.
too far.
It really, again, is another game where there's not much to look at. The only guy I would consider is Rico Dowdle, and I think he's got a very good chance to make our roster because Dowdle's been fantastic, right? Like
He really
so
has.
good. Over 200 scrimmage yards in those first two starts, most recently over 140. He's finding the end zone. There was some concerns about injury stuff earlier in the week because he was limited. off the injury report going into the weekend. Great matchup there, favored. I really, really like him this week, so I think we could potentially get him into our lineup. But other than that, from this game, like Hetero McMillan hasn't necessarily had the best run out the last few weeks. I don't know. I don't think we could really get anybody else in there from that game.
I'll say it. I'll be the first to say it. A lot of these 1 o'clock games are pretty whack, dude. I'm gonna
It
let's
looks it looks
let's
kind of
move
yeah, it
on.
looks kind of brutal.
Let's move on to the 4 o'clock. There's a couple here. Ravens, that'll be fun. The Buccaneers, Patriots, that'll be fun. But I mean, like there's some rough games in here. Let's get into the 4 o'clock games where we'll find some players here. Do we just are we just doing this? Like, is that just that's done,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah. Yeah, no doubt
Uh,
about that one. And Darnold's playing so well. Like this offense is great. And no concerns at all that like Shaheed's showing up there because Shaheed doesn't take away that many targets. Like in this offense, he's going to be that big play guy. He's going to give them like another wrinkle out there. And yeah, JSN has shown like he's superstar status now.
it's a
So
good thing. Shaheed being there is a good thing. He's gonna
yeah.
stretch the field. He's gonna go in motion pre-snap and mess everything up and tell you whether they're playing man or zone. Like Shaheed in Kubiak's offense last year was good, so I like it for both of them. On the Cardinals side, you know,
Just
tight,
McBride.
tight end premium.
Yeah,
And
it's just McBride. And the weird thing is like the Seahawks defense has been fantastic and they're a pretty tough matchup for every position. Tight end's the one where we've seen some tight ends get home against them, and McBride's had some success against them in the last couple of years as well. So of course, I mean,
this
that's pretty
defense,
obvious.
I mean, this defense will be well-rounded again when Julian Love is back. Like
Yeah.
that's the missing piece for a tight end, in my opinion, that like when he's playing, it's a different unit and he can't play. I think he's on IR for a minimum another 3 weeks.
And
So
the rest of the Cardinals offense, I'll say too, like I wonder if this is the week that Jacoby Brissett comes back down to earth a little bit. Like we've seen him get some fairly easy matchups, like getting to beat up on teams like the Cowboys and stuff. Like they've had a good run out, and yet this week, like everything about the Seahawks game in terms of Jacoby Brissett scares me. So I'm worried that we're not going to see the same kind of game from him. I'm pretty sure I'm trying to think back to the stat that I had in one of my columns this week, but I'm pretty sure the Seahawks have only allowed one quarterback to go over 260 yards this year.
right.
So doesn't look great. That doesn't look great for this pass offense, though I do think McBride can still get home.
Seahawks just a really well-rounded team. But yeah,
They are.
especially in tight end premium, you kind of have to have McBride in there somewhere. Lions, Commanders here. Lions, big favorites. Is there a commander at all with Mariota?
No, we're not going to put anybody out there. Like Debo would be the only one that you'd consider, and I don't feel great about that. He's been 41 yards or less in the last 3 games, and I think the other 2 games it was like under 20 yards. There was an injury in there as well, and I think he's healthy now, but no, with Mariota out there, we're not looking at the Commanders' offense. And for the Lions, like I'm pretty excited about them this week, and I'm pretty excited about them the rest of the way. Like it looks pretty good. One of the concerns I had early in the season was like the offensive coordinator change, the offensive line changes,
Mhm.
all that sort of stuff. And there was a bunch of outdoor games, and we know the splits that Goff has, outdoors on the road versus at home in a dome. And the next couple of weeks, there's some outdoor stuff he's got to deal with, but great matchup here. And then down the stretch, 6 straight games indoors. 4 of those are going to be at home. I think we're going to see a version of the Lions this week because the matchup is so good. And then in a bunch of those indoor games where it's going to look a lot like last year, where we're going to see some big, big point totals and a ton of fantasy scoring. So I've been telling people I think now is the time to buy in on this Lions offense and see if they can get you over the top towards a title. And in this game, like, who are we going to consider here? Like, I know Jahmyr Gibbs had a bad week last week, but hard not to mention him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, obviously. And that's probably it, I guess. You focus on those top 2.
It's not the right format for Laporta.
Yeah.
Right, because Laporta, again, he's a chunk play guy. He's a touchdown guy. He's an inline. He plays inline tight end a little more. We get bonuses for the receptions, so the tight end premium does not raise all boats equally here. So
Yeah.
no Laporta. I think this is a question of the week every week. Which one of these 2 guys? So we'll figure that out. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Rams 49ers. Rams have been firing on all cylinders, favored by 4.5. Devontae Adams touchdown machine, but Puka Nacua, of course, just incredible. And then Kyron Williams is out there. So like it's you let me ask this first. Would you ever consider Adams over Nacua?
Unless there was like, the serious health concerns and we knew that, Puka was going to play limited snaps and be playing at 60% or something. No, I've actually said this week, and this is one of those things where like I'm probably looking at it too much like a stock market, but like I actually kind of think that people should be looking potentially to sell Adams right now because he's got what, 5 touchdowns in his last 2 outings. One of those games, Puka wasn't out there. I know he's been great, and I know touchdown scoring is like just part of his profile, and he can score at a very high clip, and he's great in this offense. And Stafford's playing fantastic, and all those sorts of things. But right now, he's a top 8 fantasy receiver on a per game basis, and if you can trade him for mid to low end wide receiver one value, I would definitely consider that for a guy who could have some regression in the touchdown department, a guy who turns 33 in December. Like there's some paths where I could see this going off the rails. There's still like the Stafford injury thing, the durability concerns. It's still there. Like we could see the back thing pop up again. So Adams is somebody that I just suggested, like maybe if you could use him to get up to someone else, package him. I would probably consider doing that right now. But yeah, I'm almost never gonna
I
consider
have
him over Puka.
I have too much Devontae Adams and too much Michael Pittman to even acknowledge the things that you've said are correct. But I will quietly now say that if you can package those guys up for somebody that gets more reliable targets, maybe Justin's right. Okay, on to the next category. That is that's as much as a acknowledgement as I can give to what you've just said, which is, I mean, historically, I've always operated that way, especially at tight end. I'm like, I don't want to chase touchdowns. I've seen people do it a million times. I saw a lot of people get their pants pulled down by Robert Tunyon that one year when
Oh, yeah.
it was touchdowns all the way until championship week. And then he caught his one pass like he was in most weeks, and it wasn't a touchdown. So
Yeah.
just be very careful with chasing the touchdowns. Those guys are obviously a little more than just one catch, one touchdown a week. But if you can swap, because I mean those guys are, like you said, wide receiver 7 and 8. If you can swap them out for somebody who's a little more reliable, then yeah, go ahead and do that. On the 49ers, let's just go ahead and do this,
Yep.
and that's done probably.
I think you could put Kittle in there, and maybe it's just out of respect, but like
Put his
still a
name on
top
here.
5 guy, still has that. Like there aren't many tight ends that have that week winning upside. He still has it. I know since he came back from the injury, like the production hasn't been huge.
His schedule's
Um,
been so bad, though. I mean, like, the Falcons' safeties are so good. Jesse
yeah,
Bates, Xavier Watts. Then he faced the Texans, which are, if you look at, like, DVOA, things like that, also a top 5 team against the tight end. This Rams team is also pretty good against the tight end. So, like, just a bad run out for a guy coming off injury. When Purdy gets back, I think that changes the equation a little bit, but his name goes on the sheet. I don't know if he goes in the lineup, but you're right. It's like people, this is a guy that maybe you buy low on. Maybe buy low on Mr. George because
I had him as a buy low in my buys and sells column this week, so I'm with you there.
go watch the Falcons game, and they just put Jesse Bates and Xavier Watts, number 3 and number 31, on the line of scrimmage every play to just take this one player away. Which teams will do that every once in a while. Not every team does, but like that's not on Kittle. He was running good routes. I mean, I think he's going to be just fine, and he's got better matchups to come. So don't give up on him. Steelers Chargers here. This is a weird one. The public, just as a side note, Boone, 70+% of the public is betting on the Steelers with the points. Is that
Wow,
weird to
because the
you?
offensive line issues,
Brother, I can't make sense of it, dude.
or because they
They
crushed the
just
Colts last week, like
I
yeah.
think I think that's part of it, man. I think it's a lie. People just generally don't trust the Chargers, it seems. I don't know, man. I would not bet on the Steelers, but the public, the money's coming in on the Steelers hard.
And I mean, on that side, I think, Jalen Warren, I guess we could consider him. He would be the only guy in their offense that I would.
He's getting a lot of touches, dude. He's
He's
just one
getting a
of
lot
those.
of touches. It gets a lot easier for him after this. Like his run
Yeah.
out in like the next 6 or 7 games, it's like all like top 10 easiest defenses for fantasy running back. So it's going to be really nice having him on your team. This matchup, he's going to need to get there with some touchdowns, some receptions, some volume. But
He's a
yeah,
he's a guy that you love having in redraft, but you hate using in something like this.
agreed.
Because it's
Yeah.
like it's so easy to rank him in a spot where he's gonna be in your RB1 or 2 slot and definitely your flex, but I don't think I've ranked him top 10 in any given week. I just haven't. I mean, I just don't, and I
Yeah.
probably will not. So I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
pretty rare.
On the
And then on the
Chargers
Chargers side, I mean, Justin Herbert, always worth consideration. I think if it wasn't for the offensive line issues, I would probably make an argument that he's right there with like the elite fantasy producers, or at least, just a hair behind them. But because the offensive line injuries, that makes you a little bit scared about this offense as a whole. McConkey really showing that he's still that guy, right? Had the slow start to the season, but more recently, he's right back up as like a fringe low end wide receiver one, high end wide receiver two. So feeling good about him. And then Gadsden, I think, has to be here, right?
Yeah.
No, you look like you're not as excited
No, I'm
about him.
saying yeah.
Oh
I'm
yeah, like
excited about it, man.
I think you have to have him in this kind of conversation because again, there's not that many guys that have that monster ceiling at tight end, and he's in that conversation now.
Dude, if you have a coach, I think you and I talked about this offseason. Like, if you have a coach that's willing to just like forget about blocking and just throw you know what I mean? Throw the tight end out there, Darren Waller, Mark Andrews for Greg Roman in the past. Andy Bischoff was the guy that converted Darren Waller into a tight end from a wide receiver. Like, if they don't care about blocking, we don't care about blocking. And the opportunity is big for a guy like that, especially because he's just basically running out like a big wide receiver and getting 1.5 points instead of one for every catch. So definitely someone we consider in this format here. Last game here, Eagles Packers. Then we'll get this lineup made. What are you feeling, man? Let's start Eagles side.
I mean, you're putting everybody right. Like you're
Yeah,
basically fill the boxes. Like we're putting everybody from this offense.
yeah.
Um,
It's pretty highly consolidated. So
Yeah, and Goddard, like the yardage has been so low, but he can come through with touchdowns. Again, I don't think we're going to use him,
no,
especially because all the other options that they have. But I think he warrants being mentioned here at
Mhm.
this point. And it looks like everybody's healthy. Like we thought there was going to be some injury concerns, and then they all show up and they're practicing in full. So
They
it
can't
looks
keep
like we're
getting
going to be
away
good
with
to
this.
go.
This team is so top heavy talent wise, and everyone stayed healthy last year, right? Like, especially for the playoff run, they really don't have much behind any of these guys.
No.
Like even a wide receiver three, it's like Jahan Dotson, but like if they stay healthy, it doesn't matter. That's their philosophy. It's like let's just run it out super thin and go for it. What about Packers?
It's Josh Jacobs, definitely. Man, I don't think I would go down to Romeo Dobbs. I
No,
don't think I would do that in
let's
this
not do that.
competition. I'm fine starting him this week in redraft, even potentially as like a low end wide receiver too. We saw him get a ton of volume last week with Kraft going out, but no, I think Jacobs is the only guy you're looking at there.
Yeah, good. All right. So when we look through here, let's grab a couple names that we are like locked on and let's get them in the lineup and we'll start it that way. Like going through, we definitely want JSN and Nakua,
Yep.
right? Those would be because so the way this works for folks, so what we're doing here is we're pulling all the top names out and then we're making an FFPC lineup. So it's going to look like this. It's quarterback, running back. Here, let me zoom in one. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, four flexes. And then tight end. It's tight end premium. You got to do a kicker and defense. So right off the rip, we can go like this. Here, actually, I don't really need to sort for these guys. They're right here at the top. And then what about let's go back to the sheet. So you're doing a lineup. You can't pick two guys from the same team. That's it. No salaries, no draft. If you want to play over there, go to myffpc.com, use promo code ALARM. And I'll tell you what, they give you 25 when you deposit 35 or more. I would deposit 45. Here's why. These contests cost 35. You deposit 45, they give you 25. That gives you $70. You can do two of these contests. So that's the easiest way to just get in on two of these. We do them every week. It's a lot of fun. Last week we came in third, finishing the money, which is awesome. Justin has promised that we will do better than that this week, or he'll reveal to the world that he's fantasy receipts. So we have to, so we have to crush,
Topical.
we have to crush this week. Or everyone's gonna find out your biggest secret. Christian McCaffrey's in. Was there another running back that we were just like locked in on? I don't
Man, I think
necessarily
I think
think
it's
there
Rico
was.
Dowdle. Like I think we've seen that like week winning ceiling from him.
Yeah,
Not scared of that matchup. Like in terms of my rankings, like projection wise, like Achan right around that range. I said my piece about like James Cook. I have some concerns about. I think for the Lions, I'd rather play the Sun God instead of Gibbs.
right, right.
Um,
Let's do
So
it. I mean, dude, there's not a lot of crazy great options
when
unless
I
we
think
want to.
like if we're looking for that one spot to kind of differentiate, I wonder because the injury stuff early in the week, um, are a lot of people going to play Rico Dowdle?
I
Or are they
don't
going
think
to
people will. I think people are going to be playing Achan, and I think people might go for Swift, um, and just ignore the injuries for him because of a good matchup. Like, I don't think a lot of people are ranking Dowdle top 5 when he does have that kinda upside this week against the Saints, and especially with his usage. So, let's put him in. That might be and the thing is, if we do something like that, we can just go full chalk the rest of
pretty chalk after
the
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, actually, we do
Quarterback
want
Josh Allen. Are we just going to do it?
yeah, I think we should. I think that solves some a lot of our issues here and frees us up to use some other players. Yeah, that looks best. That looks great. Okay, so now we're into well, okay, let's pick a tight end then. I didn't want to. Just do McBride?
Yeah, I think it's still McBride. I think that's probably the safest. And like I said, like he's gone against the Seahawks and had some good games and had some decent volume the
And
last couple of years.
you just look at like some of the other sites that we're not going to name that do salaries and stuff like that. But if you look at that, like McBride's in a class of his own. He just really is for the main slate because we got no Warren Pitts, uh, like none of those. Bowers already played. There's a lot. Tucker Craft is done for the year. There really aren't a lot of no Kelsey this week, no Ferguson this week. A lot of the full PPR tight end premium options aren't even available to us. So I think McBride that doesn't stop us from starting another tight end in the flex because it's tight end premium, but I think he's got to be in there. So okay, let's pop back over here. Uh, okay, so some of the names we definitely threw out that we were intrigued with. Okay, well let's actually do this. In your weekly rankings for wide receiver, who do you have in the top 5? Like you definitely have JSN and Nakua. Where do you have Amon-Ra St. Brown? Like
I
who
have I've actually I'm not saying Brown. I have him one spot in Naku. I have those guys top three.
okay, let's put him in then. Who else do you have? Like, who else are you really high on? Like, who you ranking high? Like, now that we're going pure chalk and you
There's
being super mega star,
But the
fantasy
the
pros
funny
ranker of
part
the
is that
year.
there's no one after that kind of group. Like there's definitely like a pretty big drop off. Like Drake London would be 4 for me, but he's not in this. Justin Jefferson, like I know the matchup, like it seems like it's really good. I think the Ravens defense is a little bit better, especially on the back end, because those guys are healthier now than they were earlier in the season when they were just getting lit up.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not a slam dunk.
it's not a slam dunk. I would still strongly consider him. Um, but it's definitely not the slam dunk that it has been in past years. Um, yeah,
It's
like when
weird.
you look
It's
at like
weird to
the
not
top
have
10,
a.
like all these guys this week, like I could pick some red flags in them. It's been a really tough week to kind of sort through that group. Um, so there
It's
isn't like as much as like I got very excited about the Rico Dowdle thing. I don't have as many other plays. Let's put Jefferson in there. I mean, it's still Justin Jefferson. We talked about how we have at least some hope for McCarthy. Um,
and do we put Egbuka in there? So the other options really are like Achan's starting to look better and better every time I scroll up and look at him. I mean, what about Eagles? What about Barkley, Jacobs? Do we want to go like so? If we were going to pick one of, how do you have these guys ranked? Barkley, Jacobs, Achan, those type guys. Henry.
I do have it. Like the HN thing is more just the overall environment, trying to stay
You
away
can run
from
on the
them.
Bills. You can run on the Bills, and he plays wide.
You can.
He's running the
He
most routes from a wide receiver spot since last I checked, most since 2016. David Johnson.
Here's the thing that scares me though, and it's like I said earlier. What happens if this game goes off the rails, Tua gets pulled, and all the things that we've said about HN, that he gets the volume and he's matchup proof because he gets so much passing work, that goes out the window. Like we saw
Yeah.
last year when Tua got hurt, what happens to this offense and what happens to HN? He went from being like a top 5 fantasy back to when Tua's not out there was barely playable. Like he was
Oh,
averaging like less than 10 fantasy points per game. Not in this format in like half PPR, but still. Um, so he scares me. If you want to put him in, I'm fine
no,
with it. He's
no.
probably going to
This
get
is
the
your lineup.
volume.
This is
You
your
hope that
lineup.
this isn't the game where it goes.
We have two
You
more
know,
players that we
it
need.
it, it scares me.
We don't have to start HN because we have Barkley, we have AJ Brown, we could go McConkey, we could go Gadsden, we could go. I don't know if I want to go Kittle.
No, I don't think I would go
Dunze,
Kittle.
Egbuka.
I think for me it's between Achan, Barkley, and then you look at like Josh Jacobs and Henry. And Jacobs hasn't had like the biggest yardage totals, but he's been finding the end zone every single week. Um, yeah, we don't want to get too crazy with the Quinshawn Judkins thing, but that is a name that gets me excited.
I'm putting
Um,
Barkley in there. Why don't we start Judkins, dude? We can start whoever we want.
man, it's a crazy play, but if for the fun of it, I'm down. Like when I look at this list of names, I know there's some superstars. And yet when I look at this list of names, like I said, like my eyes kind of lit up when I see Judkins because I think he's going to have a huge game in this spot. And I think one of the big concerns with him is that he wasn't going to be healthy coming out of the break, and it seems like he is.
They
Um,
traded away their best defensive lineman.
I mean, right? Like, and they were already a good matchup for running backs before that, like I said earlier. So,
Let's do it, dude.
all right,
Let's do it.
we're really
You,
setting
you,
ourselves apart
you.
here with the Dowdle Judkins lineup.
I mean, Dowdle Judkins, but dude, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, because the thing is, all the points against Achan are all valid. You know, it's. I think with this lineup, we have so much chalk that we got to do a little something different. I think we do. So here's what we got here. We got to do a kicker and defense, and then we'll get you out of here. See how excited I am about kicker and defense. Let's see. Let's just check the projected real quick. Cameron Dicker against Pittsburgh or Boswell coming back. I think I have Dicker ranked 1 this week.
I have Dicker ranked 1 as well, but there are some concerns like with the offensive line, if that, and with all the money you're telling me is coming in on the Steelers, that makes me a little more concerned. I have Bates up there.
We can't use Bates. We're using Amon-Ra St.
Oh,
Brown.
right. We already used, yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. We can't use Prater, can't use Bates. It's like,
yeah, okay, let's go Dicker then.
yeah. And then on defense,
to me, it's probably between like it's pretty tight. Seahawks, Texans,
can't use Seahawks because we're using Amon-Ra St.
Browns or
Brown.
Lions. Those are the ones that I would have available at the top here. I know you're saying, yeah.
You know what that makes it so easy for us because we're using JSN.
Oh yeah, so it's
we're using
it's Texans.
Judkins, but we're not using any Texans.
Yeah,
so I mean, right in.
I think Texans is a good spot. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. We talked about all the injuries to the Jags receivers. Texans just a great defense too, and they're going to have to put up a big performance here with Davis Mills at quarterback.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, falls right in line. So here's what we got: Josh Allen, Rico Dowdle, Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, JSN, Barkley, Judkins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Trey McBride, Cameron Dicker, and then the Texans defense. I mean, it's crazy that you're allowed to do this, but this is a legal lineup for this format, and we're gonna win. So if you want to play against us, like let's say you want to do our lineup except Achan over Judkins, go ahead. 10, 8, 7, 6, 5 is the contest. Our name is Patronacy. And if you win with our lineup with a slight tweak, great, good. You're a fantasy member. You're hanging out with us. We're rooting for you. So jump in there. This is the $35 30 team one. But yeah, jump in, play against us. It's a lot of fun. Use promo code ALARM, and they'll give you $25 when you deposit 35 or more. Justin, dude, thank you so much for hanging out, being generous with your time, being generous with your world-renowned, incredible ranking ability, and for helping us win this contest, which we're definitely going to do. So, I mean, it's all about you. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find your stuff, man? Where they can find your articles that are the same as last year, but slightly different. And it's very upsetting.
All my stuff is at Yahoo now. You can find everything over there. You can follow me on basically every social platform at Justin Boone. And yeah, it's been a fantastic season. It's great. You know, normally I don't do too many of these during the year because my schedule is so packed, but Friday afternoon is one of those times when I can sneak it in. And when you hit me up to do it, it was an automatic yes, and it will always be an automatic yes. So appreciate you having me on, dude. And yeah, the Patronacy thing, I hadn't thought about it in a little while, so I'm glad you brought it up. I might have to get that on some T-shirts or something for next year.
Get them for next year, dude. And when we win big here, I'll tell you, we win that. Whatever we win, we should put it straight to a round of Patronacy shots.
No doubt.
If we win the $500, that's going to be a lot of them. But I think 100 will be just for the core crew. So thank you.
I might have spent something close to that on them last year this summer. So.
I was shocked at the platter of Patronacy shots. Dude. I was also shocked.
And a shout out to Rich Rebar and John Daigle and Harditz because they're the ones that actually came up with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, dude, it's surprisingly good. I was not ready for it to taste good at all, but I did. So Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe on the way out. Make sure you're following Justin wherever he's at. I know you guys probably already do, but thank you, everybody. We will be back tonight, SiriusXM channel 87, 6 to 8 p.m. Till then, folks, we are out of here.
Adios, turd nuggets.